Councilmember Johnstone?
Here.
Councilmember Riggs?
Here.
Councilmember Thompson? Here. Councilmember Goodson?
Here.
Councilmember Weber?
Here.
Vice Mayor Smith?
Here.
Mayor Pittman?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Welcome everyone in the audience. Just to let you know.
Mark, your mic.
Excuse me. Thank you. Now it's on. Welcome to the Oroville City Council chambers. Just a couple things for detailing. There's an exit over here, and there's an exit as you came in the door. And if you need to use the restroom, it's right through down the hall. And if we do have to leave the building for some reason, like an earthquake or whatever, we'll all try to assemble out in the parking lot on the other side of City Hall, just in case something happened. And we're going to assign Mr. Belser. He'll be the last one out of the room and make sure everybody's out of here. We have no closed session tonight. Open session is now in place. Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have some Pledge of Allegiance responsible people tonight? Welcome. You're on.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Cooper, and these are two fourth graders from Ophir Elementary School.
Oh, yeah, wrong. It's done. My name is, oh my God.
It doesn't.
Oh, my name is Paxton Ferris. Thank you for inviting us to lead your meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. We are students from Ophir School. Saying the Pledge of Allegiance helps form a connection to our country in the United States of America.
My name is Max Kelly. When we say the Pledge of Allegiance, we honor the flag and everything it represents. We are a country with diverse population, saying the Pledge of Allegiance instills a sense of pride for all people.
We say the Pledge of Allegiance to start our day at school, to begin official meetings or ceremonies. We honor the flag at special events like ball games. We would like to lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. Salute.
Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Max and
Thank you, gentlemen.
Unfortunately, my other friend is not here.
Okay, thank you. And Max?
Next time.
Yeah, next time. Thank you, sir. I'm going to get this to the teacher, and when she comes, we'll do that. Thank you again,
Thank
Ophir
you.
School. We appreciate your time and effort for us. Next item is adoption of agenda.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mayor Pittman, I did have a couple corrections to the agenda.
Oh, that's right, excuse me. Go right ahead.
Okay, if you don't mind. Item number 9 is the minutes that were submitted for approval. Item 14 on those minutes is the Oak Tree Ordinance public hearing that was had. It is noted on those minutes that Vice Mayor Smith was absent. However, he was present and did vote aye on that. So it was unanimous. Item number 10, that is a letter of support from the North Lineman College, or to the DMV, and there were a couple of Scrivener's errors and an addition of numbers added for specificity in regard to graduates, number of graduates, and attendees through those services offered by the DMV. And then additionally, and Councilmember Goodson, please correct me if I'm wrong, but you do plan on recusing yourself from item number 9, which is that NAACP item.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Item number 8, my apologies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
So moved with those corrections and notations.
Second.
And did you,
And I will
are you going to
recuse my-
recuse yourself from the vote?
Yes.
Okay.
You can vote.
Call the roll, please, with,
Mr. Mayor, if I
Yes,
could
sir.
interject, this is the adoption, not the approval of the consent calendar.
Right.
She does not need to recuse herself.
okay. Thank you. Adoption of agenda, that's correct. Next item is consent agenda. And consent agenda, any councilman have any items to pull? Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Can we pause that and move back to the public
Okay.
communications?
Certainly.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, we actually have the presentations first.
We do.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
apologies to the gentleman.
No. They're sitting back there anxiously waiting to jump out of their chairs, so. We have a presentation tonight from the Butte County Tax Measure presentation. Mr. Sheriff and Mr. District Attorney, would you please come forward? Welcome to the City Council chambers.
It will be shortly.
It will be second. It's
You're good.
It's on. There you go.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council people. The last duo that was up here was much more handsome and younger.
We agree. We agree.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, right. Please. I just got the introduction. This is our sheriff.
I
Yes.
wasn't paying attention to him. I was actually greeting people in the audience.
There you go.
Yeah, the ultimate politician.
Do you want me to take this away?
Go.
Wow.
Go.
Okay, good.
Welcome.
Thank you all very much. Actually, first off, do you normally give a safety briefing at the beginning of your meetings?
I do. Yeah.
Fantastic. We don't have a safety briefing at the County Board of Supervisors meetings. If a tragedy happens, we just run for our lives willy-nilly. So I commend you for having a plan in advance. It's a pleasure to be here. I've actually had an opportunity to speak with a lot of you about this, and I know there's members of the audience who have had the opportunity to hear this presentation. And I know we have 15 minutes, so I'm going to make it brief. The county has come to a point that many of the cities in Butte County have already come to, including the city of Oroville, with a recognition that the funding or the revenue that the county receives to provide critical services no longer meets the needs that we have with regard to the services that our citizens deserve and demand. This is a problem, unfortunately, that is decades in the making, and we could go all the way back to Proposition 13, which was a solution to a dilemma that existed then. But like a lot of solutions to dilemmas, they create other dilemmas that you ultimately have to deal with, and now we are having to deal with this particular dilemma. Last fiscal year is when this really came to fruition in terms of recognizing that we were going to have a significant problem going forward with being able to provide ongoing services. And so that fiscal year, in order to stay within the budget, I, at the Sheriff's Office, had to eliminate 22 positions. I think Mr. Ramsey had to eliminate how many?
4.
Yeah, 4 positions, which is pretty significant. And this fiscal year that we currently find ourselves in, we would have had to eliminate another 17 positions if the board had not chosen to use one-time funds to bridge the gap, with the understanding that we would need to find a solution to the revenue problem or figure out how to make additional cuts going forward. And that's how Measure H came to be on the ballot. Measure H is a 1-cent sales tax that would be applied county-wide, both in the unincorporated areas as well as in the incorporated areas. So in the unincorporated areas, it would go from 7.25 to 8.25. In those cities where it was already 8.25, it would go to 9.25. And I will tell you that I admit right off the bat, this is the worst possible time to have to ask our constituents to pay additional taxes. I understand that. I feel that. I don't like being in this position. I don't want to ask you or them for this kind of assistance. But I've also learned that as sheriff, I don't get to pick when the crisis comes. I don't get to pick when it comes, and what I find is it often comes at the most inopportune times. And that's where we find ourselves right now, dealing with a crisis at a very inopportune time. The only thing that I can choose is how I'm going to respond to that crisis. The other truism that I've learned as during my tenure as your sheriff is that I often have to be the bearer of bad news. I often have to tell people things that they don't like to hear. I often have to make decisions that are on their face unpopular. I often have to lead people through crisis where there's no clear-cut, easy solution to the problem, and that's where we find ourselves here right now. So, a little bit about county budgeting, which I think you guys will appreciate and understand because the city budget probably works in many cases similarly. The budget is made up of a lot of revenue sources, but oftentimes those revenue sources are state and federal funds, and the state and federal government dictate how those funds are going to be used. We have no discretion whatsoever, and I suspect you guys are all in a similar position with certain things where you have certain pots of money or certain revenue that you have no discretion over how it's going to be spent. It's mandated by statute or regulation, and the county is the same way. Of the county's entire budget, only about 15% of it is money that the Board of Supervisors has discretion over. That 15% is what they can decide how they're going to spend it. And out of that 15%, the departments that are funded are the public safety departments and the library. So, sheriff's office, district attorney's office, probation department, fire department, and the library. Now, I'll admit right off the bat that I have a bias. I have a public safety paradigm. I tend to view the world through public safety. I talk about what the world looks like if we're not properly resourced in the public safety realm. And I'll just speak briefly about that. I'll let Mike talk about his department, and then I'm going to come back and talk about the library as well, because I think that's an important aspect of that. So if we're not able to deal with this funding gap, I'm concerned that the cuts will continue within the sheriff's office. I'm concerned that I won't be able to hire the adequate staffing for the jail. And you might say to yourself, well, it's okay because we live in the city of Oroville and we have our own police department. And I would respond that, yes, you have your own police department. On a day-to-day basis, the Oroville Police Department is going to respond and take care of those day-to-day things. But there are times when every agency in Butte County is outpaced by the event that they have to deal with, and they have to call in service or they have to call in mutual aid from the surrounding jurisdictions. And the sheriff's office is often the one who will come in and help out. In addition to that, if a police officer from the city of Oroville makes an arrest because someone's violated the law, they have to bring them to the jail. And if I don't have a sufficient number of correctional deputies in the jail, then we're not able to provide that service to all of the citizens of Butte County. And the last thing I'll point out, although I do provide overall county services in capacity as your coroner, court security, civil, things of that nature, probably one of the things that you've seen us do a great deal, unfortunately, over the last decade is respond to crisis, respond to emergencies, respond to those big situations. And I'll go back to the Oroville Dam spillway incident that followed by the little fires that we probably don't remember the names, but they all happened, and then the Camp Fire. And then we moved forward to the North Complex Fire, and then most recently the Thompson Fire and the Park Fire. All of those circumstances required us to come in, alert, warn, and manage evacuations, and those have to be done within minutes of us learning of the threat. We can't wait hours for for other law enforcement agencies or other public safety to come in and do that. If I'm not properly resourced, I'm worried about our ability to ultimately do that. Another service that is provided county-wide to all of the county and the law enforcement agencies, both county as well as city and state, depend upon, is our district attorney's office to file cases. And I'll turn it over to Mike to tell a little bit about what he's facing, because frankly, I think he's got it worse than all of us right now.
Thank you, Sheriff. And basically, I'm here to make sure that fireworks in the city of Oroville. That was last one. That's okay, thank you. Now, basically, folks, as Sheriff has indicated, the county budget being what it is, and as a result of some 4 decades of continuing less and less revenue, have gotten us to the place where I used to have 3 years ago 28 deputy district attorneys. I now have 18 as a result of vacancies that are taken away because of budget situations, and the fact that we have fallen further and further and further behind the curve in terms of being competitive for good attorneys, good prosecutors to come into our office. And as Sheriff's talked about the fires, that has affected us. Used to be that in the district attorney's office, because we were competitive by virtue of our reputation and by a lower cost of living that could make up for that lower salary, the fires took care of that for us. We no longer can make that attraction because of the increase in rents and mortgages and so forth. Now, as sheriff, following up on what he had indicated, that what's it mean for the city of Orville? Well, your police department arrests people, they write reports, those reports come to the district attorney's office, and as a person is in jail for 2 days waiting for us to review those reports, if I don't have the people there to review those reports, then it's a 2-day stay in the jail and out, because only the district attorney can bring those folks into the criminal justice system. And in talking about the criminal justice system, we also have to talk about our counterparts, the public defenders, as part of our public safety. And even though I don't like to say I really want those guys funded just as much as we are, it is necessary in our constitutional system to make sure that everyone has that opportunity to have due process in our courts and have a fair system. So our problem, and making it specific as to numbers, those 18 deputy district attorneys that I'm left with now are handling some 8,200 cases, active cases, not cases that have been put in the backlog, not cases that are out to warrant, cases that are currently in the court awaiting a next hearing going towards trial. That means that's over 450 cases per deputy district attorney. An analogy, you can only run an engine at high RPMs for so long before it starts to break down. We are at that point. And we have to make some, as the sheriff does with the jail, some difficult decisions in terms of trying to move forward and making priorities. And we are asking this body, as we have asked the other bodies in the county that depend upon county services. The criminal justice system is one of those county services, to support Measure H and to support public safety and the libraries within Butte County. And we ask any questions.
Well, just before we do that, though, I do think it's important to note that the probation department is also woefully understaffed. That's problematic. We don't want to get into a situation where the county begins to cut fire stations, even in the rural areas, because you'll remember the Camp Fire began in Polga. And they were able to put a fire engine on that, which I think slowed the progression of that fire enough so that we could start a coordination of the evacuation. And the last in the libraries, a lot of people think maybe we don't need a library. We've got a cell phone with all the information in the world right there. I would submit to you that the libraries do provide a pretty remarkable service. And one of the things that I'd like to highlight is the fact that there's a collaboration between my office and the library to provide literacy programs for the people who are incarcerated. As you might imagine, it's pretty hard to turn your life around if you can't read or write and find a job. So I think that does provide an important aspect. I did bring some info sheets. I thought I had enough. I'm missing one. I'd be happy to bring one back, or if one of you wouldn't mind sharing, can I pass that around?
Yeah.
Okay.
We still have a copy machine.
Okay, very good. All right, so if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
One question I'll ask, I know you have a new expansion to your jail
Yeah.
in construction. What's going to be your challenge when that's ready to open?
That's a great question. I have 19 open correctional deputy positions right now. I need to fill those 19 positions, and I need to hire 25 more correctional deputies. in order to fully open that facility. If I can't do that, I'm going to probably have to close down other sections of the jail and move staff, or I may not be able to open the new facility in its entirety. One of the areas that I am particularly hopeful to get opened as soon as possible is the mental health beds. Currently, there are only 3 medical beds within the jail. The new facility has 38 mental health beds. And I will tell you that there is a definite need for those beds.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure enough. Any other questions from council?
Just a few blocks from the jail, from your
Gray Bar Hotel.
Microphone.
Tried to check themselves in. Am I on?
We got it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just a few blocks away from your hotel there, right? Yeah, and so someone was let out. They came down and tried to check themselves into my house. Yeah, it was a moment. Yeah, and so OPD came and, took exception with that and redelivered them back, and they were able to stay a few more days for their decisions or the poor decisions they made. And then additionally, it's kind of interesting in the presentation you made at State Theater, I had a similar experience. Somebody tried to make take some things from Home Depot without making a deposit. And I seen the Boys in Blue, which pursuing this person through my property. Yeah, just this last week. So you have to make one of those.
Police officer in front of your house, you might have
Right, yeah. So it's like, wow, what's going on? So I had to make one of those snap decisions. What do you do in that situation? And, do you get out of the way or do you get in? I got in the way and, made sure the bad guy couldn't continue and the guys in blue could put him in handcuffs and deposit him back to your hotel. But, so I've certainly noticed an uptick in activity. And with the jail and being very close to it, I'm somewhat concerned about, without H or where you are right now, how that might impact, safety in and around my district.
Yeah, I think,
Corey.
sorry.
For the video.
Oh, for the video folks.
Yeah,
okay.
there you go.
Thank you. I wouldn't be here today if I didn't think there was going to be a significant impact on public safety if we don't deal with this funding gap that currently exists. And Measure H is the way that we're going to be able to do that, not just in your neighborhood, but the rest of Butte County, not only from a criminal law or from a crime standpoint, but also the other public safety issues that we've dealt with. And probably all front of everybody's mind is fire and things of that nature. If we don't get it, frankly, there's just going to be less people in jail. And I will tell you that most people have to work pretty darn hard to get into jail these days. There's all kinds of reasons why people get released from jail. But if I don't have a sufficient number of correctional deputies to properly supervise the people in the jail, I can't hold as many people in jail.
I did want to comment, though, that we approved, I think a year or two ago, a gym membership for our OPD. And that paid off because they weren't huffing and puffing all that bad. Although they were appreciative that I did do the football bump. So,
well, I think wellness among first responders is an important thing, and I wholheartily support that as well.
of course, I gave them all water. Even the bad guy got water. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Just for the audience to know, we have a screen in front of us, and I failed to look at the queue right now. Councilman Goodson's up on the queue.
Sorry.
No, that's my problem.
Can we look at that?
I just wanted clarification on two issues. What would be the ramifications in the event that this measure did not pass with regard to the closing of fire stations? Is that one? Is that two? And my second question, additionally, what would the effect be on libraries? Because not only are they we know the primary use, but they're also cooling facilities as well.
Yeah. So in talking with our Chief Administrative Officer, Andy Pickett, who's actually speaking to another group tonight about this very issue, because we're out there really trying to do this, he recommended the closure of 3 fire stations in last year's budget. The board chose to fund those fire stations with one-time money, with the understanding that if we weren't able to deal with this funding gap, that those fire stations would be back on the list of closures. I think that would be probably very likely to occur if we're not able to do that. But as you well know, the costs of doing business keep going up. And as you're also aware, because you have CAL FIRE as a contract, they determine what the cost of the contract is, and then you determine how much you can afford, right? And we could be in a position where as costs go up from the state level, we may have to curtail or decide how many of those fire stations we can keep open. But the short answer is definitely, I think that we would see closures of those fire stations. With regard to the library, the county charter requires the county to have a county librarian and one library.
Singular.
And so I would, I hate to, well,
Where
bottom
the
line is-
county see?
Yeah, they're going to shut the library down. And what the library looks like could be vastly different than what it looks like right now if it's not properly funded.
And I don't assume anything, so I'm going to ask the question. Have those one-time monies been exhausted?
So there are one-time monies that we have that are used to bridge this gap. There are other one-time monies that can't be used going forward to bridge the gap
Because of specificity?
Exactly right.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, as you all know, running an ongoing operation with one-time funds is no way to do business, and that's why
Right,
we have to.
right.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you so much.
Great questions. Thank you so much.
And just on the fire, I just wanted to kind of make mention as an example for the city of Oroville, the Thompson Fire. The Thompson Fire took some 50 days of extensive investigation with CAL FIRE and my office, with several search warrants, arrest warrants, and what we call Ramey warrants, to eventually bring that person to justice, and is going through the system right now. But without those facilities and the continued use of safe and sane fireworks in the city of Oroville, that then we have a problem.
Councilman Weber's in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, District Attorney Mike Ramsey. Appreciate you guys so much. So what, out of curiosity, and I know we discussed this at length before, and I can't quite remember if you told me this, so if you did, please forgive me. Well, what approximately is your budget shortfall if you you have X amount, and then how short are you guys annually?
That's one of those questions, and being on city council, that sometimes government budgeting would seem very straightforward, but sometimes it's not
Right.
very straightforward. Exactly right.
Yeah.
And so the way it works in my mind, the way I keep track of it, is I look at the number of the amount of money that I ultimately had to cut out of my budget. And I'm not an expert on everybody else's budget, so I'm going to kind of focus in. But I think it will illustrate kind of the problem with the general funded departments: sheriff, DA, probation, fire, library. So in order to this fiscal year, after cutting 22 positions out last fiscal year, this fiscal year, I would have had to cut nearly $4 million, which is where we get to the 17 positions and other items, in order to make the budget for this fiscal year. Going forward, what that will cost on an annual basis, it really depends on a lot of other factors that drive it. And as you know, in terms of government budgeting, we start the year with, this is the amount of money you have, figure out what you can do with that amount of money, and then I have to factor in what the costs are. And so from the sheriff's office standpoint, I got patrol cars that use gas, so I got to figure out how much gas is, and I got a jail to run with food and medical service and all those kinds of things. So from an ongoing annual basis, I can't tell you what the gap is going to be next year because I don't know what all the costs are going to be, but I can tell you that I would have had to cut nearly $4 this year.
Well, I think I think that was a very poignant demonstration just in and of itself. If you say basically, bottom line is I'm looking at 17 positions, that's a huge hit to your department. So, and then secondly, if you don't mind, and I'm not trying to be, hit you with rough questions.
None of these. These are all fine.
Yeah. But what the next question I have is, what assurance do you have that another ask is not going to happen in a few years?
Another ask. Well, I think that goes back to, I think there was a lot of discussion about whether or not the county should try for a half-cent sales tax or whether or not there should be a sunset. And when the county hired the consultant to look at it, they came to the conclusion that a half-cent sales tax wouldn't close the gap now and into the future. And we didn't want to be in a position where you go, okay, well, I know we were just here asking for that, we need something else. And I think if we're going to rip the Band-Aid off, let's rip the Band-Aid off, right? Number two, the sunset. And I was up in Paradise today talking with those folks. They have a sunset that they have to re-up on a regular basis. And I think that it's always nice to speak to other elected officials and people who have to manage ongoing operations. And you know as well as I do that you're planning for the future years in advance. You're trying to figure out where do we need to go, what investments do we need to make. And if you're continually worried about having to go back and figure out how you're going to pay for the critical investment, you can never make the kind of progress. And so that's why ultimately this particular measure is the 1 cent, which we believe will take care of the problem now and into the future. And it's repealable by the voters who, if the county's not doing the job they want, they have the ability to do that. Great questions.
Yep. Thank you. That's all I got. Thank you.
Councilman Thompson.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
We can hear you now.
The city of Oroville, as we all know, years back when I first came on council, we were facing $1.8 million deficit. And so the residents approved a 1% here locally, and that saved our tails.
Yeah.
I don't know where our city would be. I know for sure there would be some empty seats over here and probably over there had that not passed. The safety and the streets that we currently have fixed, in fact, the roads crew were out there today near my house, on Oro Dam on the east side, fixing our roads. That would have not been possible without the passing of a sales tax. So I'll just say, I'm a person who doesn't like tax.
Understand completely.
I mean, we all pay them, right? If you list all the taxes that we pay, I mean, the list is crazy. I mean, I was just looking through all the names of all the different taxes. I mean, they tax you when you are just breathing air, when you die, just.
It's death tax, right?
Well, as your coroner, if you're still breathing air and someone says you're dead, we need to have a discussion because I don't think you qualify. There needs to be an intervention.
You pump your gas, you're paying tax. You rent a hotel, you're paying tax. You buy a candy bar, you're paying tax.
Yep.
I mean, it's just it's endless, right? They say two things are guaranteed in life: death and taxes. Who said that?
Benjamin Franklin, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty old statement. But that said, I sadly, I do support this just because of the fact that I do believe, we have a gentleman over here that's, not to bring attention to him, but, it's overspending. And I agree with that on a large level of our federal government, our state government. But this isn't that, just like you said, of your budget. 15% is what you have discretion over. I do believe that our government is heavy with tax, but I think that misuse, being here and seeing what we do, and man, our employees, they penny pinch and save, and they do a great job to try to spread our local taxpayer dollars to the utmost length. And I know that Butte County is the same. It's the bigger money. It's the 85% in the state and the federal tax that those monies would like to have a say on where those goes, because especially some of the decisions that California is making, incentivizing, and to give. Anyway, I don't want to get political, but potential homes to people funded by taxpayers. I don't want to give.
Just on that point, so with kind of 2 points here. First of all, the money that we're asking, the 1%, is going to be our money.
Right,
The
local.
state can't get.
Right, and that's
any
my
money.
point.
Yeah, all that, a lot of taxes that you talked about
Right,
from the state.
right.
And we've been asked that question as
Right.
to whether or not, well, isn't the state just going to claw this back in some
Right.
way? No.
Right.
This is Butte County, this is City of Orville.
And that's the
money.
distinction
This
that
is
we have
local
with
money.
Measure U and with this measure as well, is that, you know, with even gas tax, you know, what percentage of that actually goes to our local?
And as our county administrator in the various studies have indicated, go back to the start of this in Prop 13. Not saying that Prop 13 was bad in any way, other than other counties back in 1978 when Prop 13 was passed. And the reason for Prop 13 to be passed is other counties in the state had decided, well, we want to do this. We want to have a park. Oh, we want to have a county hospital. Oh, we want to have these very services. So property taxes were going up and up and up. Butte County was different. Butte County was cutting property taxes during that period of time, the roll up to Prop 13. And then what happened is when Prop 13 came, Butte County got slammed. The door got slammed on that low property tax to the point that Butte County right now, just in taxes, we're talking sales, we're talking property taxes and so forth, the average Butte County citizen pays less taxes than the majority of the 51 other counties
Yeah.
in the state of California.
Yeah, and so my comment was leading to the fact that these are locally controlled dollars.
Correct.
That will specifically use for our citizens. And, you know, if somebody thinks, well, you know, live in the city, you know, this is a county issue, you know, we're all connected.
We are.
So we all know regarding like the illegal activities that happen outside of the city limits, they completely directly impact our citizens within the community. So long story short, sadly, you know, I hear you are. I was at somewhere else where you said, you know, you are somebody who typically comes when people ask for help. It was a great line. You know, and here you are, at this point, you're asking for help to us, but typically we're the ones asking you guys for help.
I appreciate that, and you're right. This is a horribly uncomfortable. I don't like to be in this position. I don't like asking for help. I like to be the guy that helps, and here we are. But I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep. So I support this.
Thank you.
Councilman Goodson's in the queue.
No, I think.
Oh.
Are you in there?
I'm in the queue. Go ahead.
Well, there's a blank in there.
I'm in position two.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
for some reason it removed your name, but you are up next, followed
Go
by
ahead,
Goodson
Tracy.
and Riggs.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So I guess my concern is, with it being a general tax revenue, everything that it says that it's going to be going for, emergency 911, preparing for, responding to, recovering for wildfires, that all sounds amazing, but what other uses could it potentially be going for? You hear the public talking about, oh, everybody's going to get pay raises now and all this and that. And so can you give us a broader spectrum of just, it says about 44,000 annually is going to be brought in?
44 million.
44 million, I'm sorry, 44 million, that's what I meant to say.
So I get this question a lot. I go and talk a lot. And first off, the way the tax is structured, the board, if it were for a specific purpose, right, it would require a 2/3 vote.
Right.
Just like
Measure U.
Measure U. You have to rely upon your elected, either city council or board in this case, to utilize the money in the way that best serves the community. And the arguments and information that we're putting out to demonstrate the need to the community focus around those general fund departments, public safety primarily, and the libraries. And by all indications, the board intends to utilize those funds to continue those services and shore up the services, public safety services, and do those kinds of things. I will tell you that I believe the board when they say that. My experience has been that they have put the discretion they have with regard to that 15% of the budget towards those areas. And what I also say, what I told county admin when I said that I would lend my name to this and work to get it done, is that if they don't utilize it for the purposes that are outlined, then I will have a new project. And the new project will be to go after them.
Thank you. That's what I want to hear. I mean, I support it if it's going towards, the majority of it is going towards what it says it's going to, I mean, we need it. And
I want to add one other thing, too. You talk about salaries. That may be part of it. I'm going to tell you, and Mike's in a good position right now, if we can't hire deputy DAs because we don't pay them enough, then we're going to have to increase the salary to attract qualified deputy DAs to go and do the work they need to do. So there is a piece of that, yeah.
Surrounding counties are paying $10,000 to $50,000 more a year for deputy
That's
days
across the
out of the
board.
box.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
that's-
I can't compete.
I hear you. I hear you. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Councilman Goodson's in the queue. Now,
For those of us who were on city council in 2016 that were newly elected, yeah, I feel your pain. Linda Draper is in the audience, and we inherited that $1.8 million deficit. And so when you have to explain why this is needful, and when your back is up against the wall, the emotional roller coaster that you feel, not a day goes by until that election date, when it goes on the ballot, you eat it, you live it, you breathe it, you sleep it. It creeps into your dreams. It seeps through your pores, so I understand. And so you make the tough decision, and that's what we did. And I tell you, Oroville, because of it, I cannot thank the voters enough for that. Nobody likes an increase in sales tax, but you also don't want to have a skeletal crew working in your government. You want to be able to have prompt response, your EMTs, your fire, and especially with fire season getting worse. So I know you're going to do the right thing. You don't have a choice. And we will hold your feet to the fire. Absolutely. And no pun intended. So thank you for doing what you're doing. Going to every organization, beating down every door and saying, listen. In 2016, when Councilman Thompson said, if it didn't go through, you would not see as many people up here. So let me be transparent. We were on the brink of bankruptcy to the point where we already had bankruptcy attorneys at the table. You as the county, you don't have that option.
Right.
And that's all I have to say.
Thank you for the comments. Appreciate it.
Councilman Riggs is on the queue.
Thank you. I will echo some of Councilwoman Goodson's sentiments, and thank you both for the hard work you're doing in advocating for this measure, and also for the due diligence that I know you and all of the county staff have put into really looking at the options and the situation and knowing what needs to happen and bringing forth to the voters the best possible solution. So thank you guys for those efforts. I would say personally have a lot of trust in both of you guys and in our county leadership. So I'm absolutely personally on board for this, but I wanted others to know if they were in favor, what they might do in order to help also be an advocate for this measure, as you both are.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. Like anything, it's getting the word out. I will tell you that the vast majority that people that I speak to, and I've spoken to probably over 1,000 people or more at this point, all begin with, hell no, I don't want to pay more taxes, and I understand completely. But after that, after an opportunity to sit down and explain what's going on, the vast majority of them understand and come to the same conclusion that you came to. And I'll just take this one moment to point out how important this is to the members of our community and how that message is making its way out. This is not a partisan issue, although raising taxes has a tendency to evoke partisanship, right? But this is not a partisan issue. This is a public safety issue. This is a good government issue. And I think to illustrate that, our campaign has the endorsement of the Butte County Democratic Central Committee and the Butte County Republican Central Committee. Both extremes of the political spectrum, if you will, have recognized that this is an important thing. And we have the support of a good number of you as personally, but also community leaders from diverse backgrounds and bipartisan support across the spectrum. That said, what can you do to help? Well, what you can do to help is help us get the message out. And so each of you has your own circle of folks. The people in the audience have their own circle of folks. To the degree that you can help us spread the word and talk about it, because there's no way I can talk to all 200,000 members of Butte County, that is helpful. In addition to that, we have a website up. If you look on the flyer, there's a QR code. You can go to that. If you want to endorse it as a body, we would love that. If you want to endorse it individually, and some of you have, we would love to list you on that. We're getting yard signs. You have the ability to put one of those out. And then, of course, campaigns run on money, so we're also, and anybody who's inspired to the vision and wants to help us get the word out, that's another way we can do it. But I appreciate the question.
And very much so, emphasizing once again, this is a Butte County issue. This is Butte County money that stays in Butte County to help Butte County citizens.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Smith is in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to offer an opportunity. Tomorrow in this room at 3 p.m. is the Chamber of Commerce Board meeting.
Oh,
So
okay.
this measure is on the agenda for discussion.
Oh, okay.
So if
Okay.
either one of you would like to attend or
Yeah,
both.
tomorrow at 3.
Yeah.
We'll get somebody here.
Okay.
Okay, sounds great.
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
All right, thank you. Councilman Weber is in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So everybody's taxed and everybody's tired of taxes. You know that. You guys addressed it yourself. I'm sure this is very uncomfortable. Like Councilmember Goodson was pointing out, to have to go and, have these conversations. And I'm sure there's a lot of oppositional conversation that comes back. I know that you and I did a video not that long ago, and I actually, publicly endorsed it, and I got a lot of feedback and flack for that. But, the reason why I did it is because we had a very long conversation about the need, the failure of basically our state giving you enough, and then what we need to do. And we know that there's money grabs happening all over because they got to fund different projects and whatever. So it's just the same stuff that we deal here with budget shortfalls. So, with that being said, I want a fully functioning jail and I want a fully functioning DA's office, right? And I mean, what's the use in you building that facility up there if you can't actually use it for what it's meant to be done with? And, something that I want to talk about real quickly is the fact that you're building, not only is that facility an extension of the jail, but how many medical beds are going to be there?
38.
38. And so medical beds are totally different than a regular bed that somebody just stays in, because a medical bed is going to give us more ability to treat essentially the untreatable right now, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those beds, right now, there's only 3 medical beds in the jail. It was built in 1963, and they never contemplated that we would have it. You are all, I think, keenly aware that we see lots and lots of people now struggling with addiction.
Yep.
And along with addiction comes mental health issues.
Bingo.
And it's not, we're not going to solve the problem by arresting those people, keeping them long enough to sober them up, sending them back out to the streets, because they're going to get right back into the same behavior they were before. And it's this constant reoccurring cycle. My hope is that we can actually keep them in a facility that has the medical component, and really get them to a point where they're cleaning up, they're sobering up, we're starting to deal with their mental health issues, and then hand them off to other agencies that can help change the trajectory of their life. And in that way, I think we have an ability to actually do something for public safety as opposed to this constant churning that we're dealing with now.
And part of that is programming space within a jail, current jail, that was not designed to have long-term clientele. The jail now has that long-term clientele, and being able to have, beyond just the beds, a programming space to help people with their addiction, with their mental health issues is just vital to public safety.
And on that note, the current jail has one classroom that is a converted storage room. A new classroom will have 6 state-of-the-art classrooms that we can provide all kinds of programming that's going to be helpful.
Yeah, and that also give service providers that you invite into the jail to more
Absolutely.
access in a professional environment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, and I totally agree with that, you know, because we have, clearly, we had our Prop 36 event last night. Clearly, we've got all these factors that feed this, right? You know, and so we're at a point of desperate need for this. And so here's what I came down to with this, okay? So if you allow me to kind of explain my philosophy and why I would support this, because I know there's going to be people in the audience that disagree with me, and that's okay. And but when I think of reduced services for rural areas, right? Because I grew up out in Bangor, right? Okay, and when I think of reduced services for Palermo, Bangor, you know, up in the hills, all, you know, wherever, I have to ask myself, this is a deciding factor for me. If I'm in the comfort zone of, say, if you will, Orville, and we are okay here with our services, and if it doesn't affect me, but then I know my rural neighbors are going to be affected because of whatever they have going on, then I have to ask myself that question, like, okay, so what is that? Is that me being a good neighbor at that point, you know? And so I love the fact that this is a voter-led initiative. We're going to go take it to the ballot. We'll let the people decide. But for me, I want to be, I want to see you guys fully functioning. I want to see the city of Orville fully functioning. I want to see protective measures for rural, for incorporated areas, all of us, Butte County as a whole. Even though I'm not a Butte County representative, I'm an Orville representative, but I still look at all of us as neighbors. So I want to see us all, you know, thriving, essentially. So there's, you know, I've already pledged my support for it.
Appreciate that, yeah.
And with that being said, I seen Ron Belzer. Did you have a comment? Because I seen you. Okay.
This is from a much smaller spectrum, but November 8th, be 6 years this November, I was sent up to the campfire in Paradise, a department that I worked for 9 years as a Paradise police officer. And the sheriff department are heroes, and we rely on them heavily. The operation plan that they had up there would have been thousands of people that died. And it was the boots on the ground, the direction that they gave officers that came out from outlying agencies and areas from Sacramento, Roseville, that didn't know that area. I knew the area, and I was lucky. But not only did they save lives, but they kept officers alive. They knew where we were at any given moment. It was an event that will scar me forever, but amazing, amazing people. And for anybody to question whether or not they should be full staffing or what they can provide, that shouldn't be a question. And as far as the district attorney's office goes, as a police officer, you only learn so much from patrolmen, from sergeants, but it's the prosecutors that teach you how to be an officer, that teach you how to investigate a case, that, you know, they're the ones that polish you up and make sure what you provide them is what they need to be successful. And to start an investigation from the beginning and watch it go clear to the end, if that doesn't happen, that discourages officers. And I know there's officers that are discouraged right now. And it's vitally important that that portion, that area of our prosecution team is robust, fully staffed, that people are held accountable, and that officers see their cases through, know that they mean something, know that they're doing something for the victims that are out there, I mean, this is huge, and I'm sorry you have to go around everywhere and talk to everybody, and I don't want to use the term beg, but ask for this to happen, because it's absolutely silly. The disasters that we face, and it's just if and when now, it's going to happen again, and I was part of the North Structure Fire, watched the same professionalism. The amount of lives that would have perished in Paradise is just, I mean, when you're there, boots on the ground, watching the organization, watching the operation take place, and see what these gentlemen did. I mean, they're absolute heroes, and there's no dollar that could
Right.
ever be put on that, ever. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Councilman Weber? You're,
Yeah, I'm good.
okay. I want to make sure our number one queue isn't working. Is anyone else in the queue? All right, Councilman Riggs.
Thank you. My question was, or I guess my offer is, that if it's permissible, I would recommend that as a body, we endorse Measure H formally, if it's permissible.
We're looking at the attorney.
Well, it's agendized as a presentation item alone, so there's no action that's contemplated, although there is an action request that you accept it for information, and then council can, give a direction to staff, whichever way it pleases, to, take whatever step you think is appropriate.
Thank you. So then I would say that we consider doing a formal endorsement as a body,
As a
I
next-
agree.
as a future
As
agenda
a next
item.
agenda item, I concur.
Agree. Yes.
Looking at the rest, by consensus, all
I
right.
sense that we get a, overall
Right.
direction, and we'll
Right.
prepare that for you.
We'll do so. Do we have any cards for this?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
We will begin with the cameraman and follow that with Brian Williams.
Gentlemen, before you walk away, I want to thank you both for coming here.
Thank you. Appreciate
You
it.
actually convinced my better half at home, and I had a big fight with her over this, but when she listened to you talk, it went the other way, so thank you. We have peace at home.
I'm glad for that.
Thank you.
Very much. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you all.
For the people watching at home, I'm the sign guy, if you can
Okay.
see at the camera. Well, obviously, I'm not going to be the popular person on this subject tonight, but I need to throw in my 10 cents because I'm one of the 200,000 people that live in this county, too. As you heard, it's a self-admitted problem that's been decades in the making. Evidently, I've been told by experts that more than likely this is going to pass, but hope I can do something to make that not. And everybody's saying, well, you must hate public safety. No, I do not. Actually, I enjoy public safety. They do a lot for this county, but the timing right now for this tax I don't feel is appropriate. And what I've seen in the last few years of living in this county, with the money that they do have, I don't think it's being spent appropriately. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you every single case that I've sat through at the Butte County Courthouse. Now, Mr. Honea, he needs money, okay? We need a jail. I'm on some board with the same issues encountering when I try and help people there because of a lack of staff, especially mental health. So he definitely needs money. Now, Mr. Ramsey's office, on the other hand, maybe he needs a little bit more money, but not so much, especially when, well, I'll start off most recently, you all know that I was prosecuted by his office over $98.73 worth of food stamps that I countered-offered to repay from the beginning, but the prosecutor, Mr. Collier, who, from my understanding, is the newest DA at the office, he couldn't give up the probation. I was sentenced on the 11th last week. And evidently, Judge Rodriguez agreed that probation wasn't really appropriate, and I thank him for that. So he only sentenced me to fines and fees, which I offered to pay from the get-go. I'm not going to mention all of the fines and fees, but ultimately, the county made approximately $70 from that. That's not going to even cover the transcriptionist that I had to hire and petition the county for funds to get transcripts for the calls in that case. It seemed to me that was quite a waste of money, especially to have an investigator be able to drive around town, get security cam footage, the numerous court dates. I mean, that's out of the 8,200 cases that they're dealing with, they had plenty of resources to devote to me. Another case that's going on since 2018 involves a retired sheriff's deputy that they raided approximately 3 to 4 months before he had to comply with a recent California bill for gun, had to remove a part from his guns. But they raided him 4 months in advance. And that case has been going on since there goes my sign, since 2018. So they've had plenty of resources to devote from issue 2018. Now I'm out of time, almost out of time, but this is also a state issue. Gavin Newsom wants to make it a crime, not a crime to commit crime anymore, so everybody's getting let out. So my thing is, if you're going to get this measure passed by the voters, I want more effort to keep people that need to be in jail that are committing violent offenses in.
Thank you. Up next, we have Brian Williams.
Welcome.
I got a couple questions for you guys, if you don't mind. I was at your guys' Prop 36 event last night, and thank you for putting that on. And I'm here tonight for your Measure H. I wanted to know if you guys have done anything with Prop 32.
Brian, we just have to hear comments. We don't have a Q&A with the.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yep.
So I'm basically trying to see if that we could also endorse Prop 32, because we are a disadvantaged low-income community, and Prop 32 is to raise the California state minimum wage to $18 an hour, and that would also give most of our citizens a chance to not be completely burdened by the sales tax. I do know that the sales tax is definitely important. I've seen what Measure U has done for the city of Oroville, and we are surrounded by the county, and we have far-flung areas of the county that need our support to get them there. And so, yes, definitely for Measure H, 436 and 432. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir. Any other cards? All right.
That's all I have, sir.
Gentlemen, thank you again.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate that. I think this council has clearly seen there are significant issues here, and they deserve our merit. And please, all of you, take time to learn the voter information and make your votes. Thank you. We're good. Next item is public communication hearing of non-agenda items. Do we have any cards?
Yes, we do, sir.
Okay.
We will begin with Linda Oslin and follow that with Bonnie Malone.
Welcome, Linda.
Thank you, Council.
Yeah.
I appreciate everything I've heard tonight. And I'm here to talk about an issue that was addressed on agenda last September 3rd meeting. I watched the video, and it is regarding the sale of fireworks in the city of Oroville. I want to keep that conversation going. I notice it is not on the agenda tonight, as I had been led to believe after the meeting of September 3rd. However, I will read the memo that was submitted to the council today and change it up a bit to make it more personal. I represent a growing group of concerned residents who live in the East Oroville foothills and were impacted by the recent Thompson fire. We were evacuated, as you know. We oppose the sale of safe and sane fireworks in the city of Oroville, and in my life, there are no safe and sane fireworks. The cause and consequences of the Thompson fire were explained by District Attorney Mike Ramsey and were impacted, at the September 3rd council meeting and subsequently reported in the Chico Enterprise Record and Mercury Register newspapers. The purchase of $7 worth of safe and sane fireworks from a local fireworks stand by one individual who has now been charged with arson resulted in the Thompson fire, the catalyst that inspired our group to speak out. We in Oroville and Butte County are all fire survivors one way or another, whether by smoke, evacuations, cost, or personal loss. Annual fire seasons are anticipated with trepidation, whether we live in the city or surrounding areas. Our group includes survivors of the Camp Fire. My husband and I, 46 years in Paradise, wiped out. 2 homes, historical family wipeout. Okay, our son also escaped with his life. Thank you, God, and thank you, Sheriff Homey.
Yes.
our group, and we have people who live across from us who are, who lost their place in the Bear Fire, and our group also 30-plus year residents of the Oroville foothills who have lived through many close fire disasters, as you know. We know that our home insurance rates will skyrocket when the fire moratorium is lifted on July 2nd, 2025. Some of us suffer resulting effects of PTSD. You're looking at one. We also are for the sake of local. Change is hard.
Linda, we're running out of time.
Change
Okay.
is hard, but there are ways.
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you, Linda. We appreciate your comments. I believe we did get an email too, and what we did is we didn't have enough time for folks to properly prepare to come to a full meeting, and we're planning a special meeting on this topic. We're still working on a date till we get all the council members there. It'll probably be a special meeting. It'll probably be held at the State Theater, just because we had so much interest in having a discussion. So we didn't want to limit anybody's time. We appreciate your coming tonight, and your comments will certainly be included in that meeting.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilman Smith, or Vice Mayor Smith.
Yeah, just briefly. So the Chamber of Commerce, where I work, we're going to be conducting a public survey to get the temperature, and we'll make that report at that council meeting, kind of, just to add to the conversation. So it's not been forgotten. Yes.
Any other cards?
Yes, sir. Up next, we have Bonnie Malone, followed by Heather Gray.
Thank you.
Welcome, Bonnie.
Mr. Mayor and the council. I'm not going to reiterate, I'm not going to reiterate what Linda has said so well, but I have been here over 51 years, and I've noticed every summer the unusual display of fireworks selling on almost every corner, on almost every empty parking lot. And I'm thinking, why are they selling fireworks during the heart of fire season? It's counterintuitive right away. But at any rate, I know that the service clubs have their funding through this sale, and I thought, well, they could, there's other ways of making money. Right now, many of the cities are using drones and laser shows for their July 4th celebrations. I know the schools very often raise money through bingo, and being a teacher, that's what I did, bingo and cake sales. And the fire department up in Bucks Lake had their sale, and they raised $25,000 for their pancake breakfast recently. So I know there are other ways to do this. The concept of having fireworks is, I think, a little outdated. And people blow off their fingers, and it makes noise. The animals, both wild and domestic animals, are freaked out. It's noisy, it disrupts the communities, and I think maybe we could do another way to celebrate our 4th of July. At the very least, selling these things in December for maybe New Year's Eve, at least when there's rain and some moisture, not in the middle of the heart of fire season. So I hope that a ban, like most of the other cities in Butte County, you'll ban the sale of fireworks. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have Heather Gray, followed by Rhonda Magnuson.
Welcome.
Welcome. I'm new to this, so I'm going to make this short and sweet. Basically, I've always questioned, why would they be selling fireworks during fire season? It just doesn't make sense to me, especially with as many arsonists that are around at this point. So please, please put a ban against them. There's, it's the only way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have Rhonda, followed by Spencer Holden.
Use myself as an example on how a good person and a good life could end up badly without their doing it, okay? This is all court record. I'm not going to use names because they're not here to defend. In 2017, I was a single mom with a 12-year-old daughter. I have not seen her in 6.5 years. My reason for being here in Oroville, I am from Maine, the other side of this country. I have no reason other than my 12, well, she's now 19. I brought her here to meet the in-laws, her dad and his family, because I was very, very ill. Still am. They filed this restraining order claiming that on the 29th of December, I literally destroyed this 6'1" man in front of my child. We were not there. We were in a city 2 hours away with his sister. My daughter was here in Oroville from the 27th on. This order was dismissed in San Andreas, California with malicious intent. This is my sister-in-law, the one that has my child for the past 6 years. Once again, I'm not going to use her name because she's not here to defend herself. She claims that the Oroville Hospital contacted her at her house and said I threatened to kill her, and I left on foot to do so. Everybody knows that we have laws. It's called the HIPAA. Not only that, but I have the Sheriff's Department, and as well as that, I have the Oroville Hospital. That states this never happened. This woman gives 2 different stories for why she has my daughter. Now, these documents have been before Mr. Legrone, they've been before the DA, and they've been before the sheriff, amongst others. This is my daughter and I. This is 5 years of stepping stone. Where it says Rhonda and my daughter, I won't use her name, has a very close relationship with open and comfortable lines of communication. She is very outgoing. She is a straight A student. She is an honor student, mind you. Single mother raised her. In the court systems, because I have been fighting for so damn long, filing these papers left and right, I have been arrested. I spent 14 months, 2 months for crimes that I absolutely, positively did not commit in any way. I was declared incompetent.
Rhonda, your time is,
My time is up.
yep.
I will be back again
Thank you.
with more.
All right.
Just to add.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Spencer Holton, followed by Brian Wong.
Welcome, Spencer.
Members of the council and city administrators. My name is Spencer Holtum. I'm the superintendent of the Oroville City Elementary School District, and I'm here to share 2 things with the city council this evening. First of all, a couple years ago, the city of Oroville and my district, the Oroville City Elementary School District, went into a joint venture using the Community Development Block Grant monies that we received for COVID recovery. We entered into a joint venture to upgrade and totally refurbish the track at Central Middle School that's between Central Middle School, or the studios at Central, and Wyandotte. That track was just completed.
Oh, cool.
Okay, and we would like to invite the city to a grand reopening on October the 3rd at 10 a.m. That's a Thursday. I have invitations for all the members of the city council.
Thank you.
Come out.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Spencer.
Thank you.
For those who may not be able to attend, that track has been there for many, many decades. And it's only been able to be used by members of the school community. But it was made out of DG. Whenever it rained, it would puddle. We had a whole bunch of issues with it. And through this grant, we were able to totally redevelop it, have adequate drainage. The track is no longer DG, it's asphalt. It's been painted with a reflective paint, so it's much cooler for the students during the day. It's been striped. But what's really important is we now have lights that are around the track, and it's ADA compliant. But most important, where the city comes in is that off of Lower Wyandotte, there is a cemented pathway where the community can now use that track at night to walk it. Right now, there is a lock on the gate, but now that the project is finished, we will have a timed a lock on that, so that in the evening it will automatically unlock, and then in the late evening it will lock, so that the community in that part of the town can now go and use that. Again, it is totally refurbished. It has lights, and it's a joint use. We use it during the day for PE and exercise and all those things, and the city can use it. And
Thank you, Spencer.
Thank you.
I have to make a quick comment. Mr. Harina's class, way back when, he was a mathematician, but he's also retired from the military, was an engineer in the military. He was the one to first set the grades for that track. And I was in the class when we were all told to hold the grade sticks while he was giving us direction. I won't say when that was, but it was the beginning of the track.
no, I'm out of time, Mr.
Yeah.
Mayor, but some of that eroded over time.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
I
just
guarantee it. Yeah, I
wanted
guarantee
to,
it.
I
I'm
don't want
just
to bring
glad to
too
see it
much
done
attention
right.
to you, Mr. Mayor, but
And it wasn't because I held the state wrong.
yeah. Thank you
all.
very much.
Thank you.
Next card.
Up next, we have Brian Wong, followed by the cameraman.
Welcome, Brian.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council members, and city staff, I just want to bring to your attention the recent business closures in town. There's a lot of empty storefronts. So I've been doing a little bit of research and seeing like what are the difficulties that our businesses are facing in our community. So the word that's tossed around is inflation. We all feel it, high cost of goods. But there are other factors. I think City Council is going to bring up the fire insurance issue later tonight, which is also a factor. But the other factor that is also being talked about a lot is the high cost of PG&E. So I just want to bring to your attention that the city of Biggs, they're paying less than half of what we pay. Sacramento is paying less than half of what we pay. So they belong to utility districts where they have control over their own power. Not like us. Right now, we have to pay to PG&E. The power generation costs for all these districts, they don't change. But the difference is the delivery rate that comes to PG&E customers, we have to pay a lot. So what do I mean by a lot? When you look at your bill, 62% of your bill right now is for delivery costs. So with that, I just did some rough calculations based on the community members that I've talked to. So on average, our community members are paying like $500 to $700 more per month for insurance and PG&E. So that's the money that's normally spent in our restaurants and retail and local businesses. So when you see businesses closing, well, where has the disposable income gone? They've gone to necessities. That's where it's gone. So that is a fact of life today. So when you see businesses struggling, these are the issues at play. There's a growing demand for electricity in our state also with EV charging. People are pushing to electrification. It's going to cause more demand competition for electricity. AI data centers that's coming on board is going to require like hundreds of terawatt hours. So what is 100 terawatt? It's 1 followed by 14 zeros. So imagine the amount of electricity that's needed to run these data centers, these AI centers. How do we in the community compete against these big corporations and institutions that's going to be requiring that power? So please bring this to the attention of staff and allow the community to have other solutions other than PG&E. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Riggs, do you have a question?
Thank you for bringing that, Brian. I just want to inform you that that is something that we've brought forward, and we're moving forward with a study regarding Pioneer Energy, which would help reduce our overall energy costs throughout the city. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Brian, were you aware of that option that we had been exploring?
Yeah, well,
Yes.
She wants a clarification
I
for
think
that,
it would
yeah.
be more appropriate for
Yeah.
that to come forward when we're actually talking about
Okay.
that
Right,
subject
yeah.
matter.
Okay, thank you.
We'll have the study results then to make sure to note that when we have that ready. Mr. Cameron, come on up.
Were you turning the air conditioning down? It is a little nippy in here. Good evening again, Oroville City Council. Yeah, just to touch on what Mr. Wong said there. Yeah, PG&E is a legal evil, if you ask me, to be able to gouge people left and right and then have the audacity to run an ad on TV. Notice they're not doing that as much anymore. Hey, we're undergrounding lines because we learned it's better and safer, but only, undergrounding 0.4 miles of line. CBS out of Sacramento did a good story about that a few months ago, where we had one of our deputy district attorneys interviewed about that, and even the DA's office is like, that's ridiculous, and turn around and charge us money. And we need to definitely look at alternative energy solutions other than relying on PG&E, because that woman that's in that commercial that says, hey, we're learning, we're being smarter, I've been told she makes $80 million a year off of us. So, it's not going back into our community. But anyways, just to follow up on some things from last meeting regarding the speeding on Montgomery Street, I definitely think there's some places we can add some more stop signs to slow. I don't think we need a light on Montgomery Street, but definitely some more, making some of those two-way stops into complete four-way stops. I know Mr. Councilmember Weber mentioned a DUI checkpoint. From my research, actually patrolling for DUI drivers has been more effective than a checkpoint, but if the city wants to do that, by all means. Mostly I see cities do that from grant money. Honestly, in my honest opinion, I don't think we get enough traffic after 10 o'clock to even set up a checkpoint in this town, but who knows? Maybe that's just my personal opinion. But if there is going to be a DUI checkpoint, I'll definitely be there with my sign letting people know that there's one ahead, that I've done numerous times down in Southern California. And ultimately, I hope they actually ask more DUI-rated questions compared to departments I've seen down in Southern California, where 9 times out of 10, they're more concerned that whether or not you actually have a driver's license than whether or not you're actually impaired. Because it starts out, good evening, DUI and driver's license checkpoint. Do you have your driver's license? Oh, okay, have a good night. Well, I thought you were supposed to ask they were drinking too. I mean, now, if you're stupid enough to answer that and self-incriminate yourself, well, then by all means, you get all the secondary treatment you deserve. That's why you have a Fifth Amendment right. And just finally, in regards to the speeding issue, definitely just having a unit present doing radar or just parked there. From talking to traffic officers at larger departments, in my experience, they've told me just by their presence actively being there slows people down. Not that it's good, because sometimes that can cause an accident if somebody's not paying attention, immediately looks up, police, skirt. But just the visual presence alone is
Times. Thank you, sir. Councilman Weber, you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to take a moment to apologize to you, Mr. Cameraman. I wasn't laughing at you. What I was laughing at is your brutal honesty and your intentions.
The media should be honest.
Oh, absolutely. and I appreciate it.
Any other cards?
Yes, we do have some, sir. Up next, we have Bill Spear, followed by Celia Hirschman.
Welcome, Bill.
City Council. The verse for today is Philippians 4:6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your request to God. You know, I was thinking about when we were getting ready to have to file for bankruptcy, and you know, it's hard not to be anxious when things aren't ends aren't meeting, and you're thinking how to make budget cuts and stuff, and we were praying then, and I have to confess I've been praying a lot for our city, but been leaving the county out of it, kind of. And so today I'm going to pray for the county also. So Father God, we thank you for your word. And it says, be anxious for nothing, but in every situation with petition and prayer, with thanksgiving, we thank you that you are there, that we have a source, and that you are the source, that you have a plan for our city and for our county. And we lift up, Lord, we thank you for what you've done in our city and your provision for our city. We thank you for how you're moving and working in our city. And we also lift up our county. We lift up our district attorney's office. We thank you for them, for their faithfulness, for our district attorney, Mike Ramsey, for his years and years and years of sowing into our community, all as officers. And I just pray your protection upon them, your guidance, your direction, your provision for the county, for our sheriff. I was talking about the campfire and so many other incidents where everyone was running out and they were running in, and we just thank you for them, and we pray blessings and protection for all of the first responders. We pray for the provision for our county, that it would overflow, that the jail would become fully functional, the care beds for we pray for all of the prisoners that are there, that they would be changed and transformed, and then when they got out, they would be activated and put on the right path. We thank you that we are not without resources, that you are the way and the truth and the life, and we come this evening praying for your kingdom come, your will, your plans, your ways, in Jesus' name.
Thank you. Up next, we have Celia Hirschman.
Welcome, Celia.
Hello, good evening. I just wanted to make everyone aware that tomorrow, 10 a.m. to noon, at our public library, the public library we have here in Orville, which is open, we'll be having the League of Women Voters registration drive. So anyone in your family that's over 18 can come and register if they haven't already. And if they're 16 or 17, we'll pre-register them now. Thanks.
Thank you.
That's all I have for submitted cards, sir.
All right. Thank you all for our cards. Next item is public communication. No, excuse me. We finished that. Next item is council agenda, announcements and reports. Council, any announcements?
I do.
Looking down the queue. Oh, Vice Mayor Smith, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, over here on the ledge, you'll see a lot of brochures. It is fall time, or we're rapidly approaching. That means Orville's busy with lots of events and fun things to do. So I brought all those in for those of you who'd like to access that. In particular, the Salmon Festival, 27th, 28th. Real excited about that. We, see, even the... It must be good. So I appreciate that. It's a real celebration. We're going to have this year a trackless train that will be taking folks around and about through the event area. Of course, all of downtown will be closed, an amazing car show, and so many other things to experience, including our wonderful hatchery will be fully opened and doing tours. So it's just a great day to be here in Oroville and this wonderful community with just value-added experiences for everyone. I do also want to ask, with agenda items, if I might just real quick, to ask the council to consider Measure E, which is OCESD, which Dr. Holtum was in here earlier. The school bond that originally built Ishii Hills School will be expiring this next year. And this measure will ask to continue with a new bond to kind of replace that. So that means it won't add any extra dollars to the folks' bottom line in your property tax. But our district is in desperate need of, facilities enhancements. And anyway, without getting into the weeds on that, I would like our council to consider, and I'll bring the details of that, but to consider endorsing that and supporting that particular measure as well. Thank you.
I second that.
Councilman Weber.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm super happy you guys are here because I was going to talk about our event that we had last night. Our district attorney and our sheriff were there for the Prop 36 event, and what a wonderful event that was. We had an unbelievable turnout. Super informative. The panel did great. The mayor was there as well, and what an amazing turnout. What an amazing interaction, right, with the community. And I think that was an excellent educational opportunity because I don't think there probably wasn't a lot of on the fence voters there, probably some that I would say, but the value of that was the fact that they went away educated. And like Claudia is sitting right behind you, the first thing she said out of her mouth when I walked in, she said that event was amazing, right? And so all day long, I've been getting messages from people and phone calls. And so I wanted to thank you guys for coming and doing that because Prop 36 is a huge, huge initiative that needs to be passed in November, because if you're not familiar with what Prop 36 is, real quick, and I'm not getting into giant, but basically Prop 47 gave us a whole bunch of bad things. Prop 36 is going to go plug up those holes, essentially, in a 30-second piece and reinstate quality of life issues that we have. And give the code enforcement horsepower, give police department horsepower to serve these issues that we're facing. So I'm super appreciative of that last night. And I can't give these out in here, but I got some window signs if anybody's interested, 18 by 24 window signs. So I can't give them out in here, but if anybody wants to meet me outside, I'll be happy to give you some outside. But these are great for getting the word out. And so thank you guys for that. Bravo to you guys, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for also attending, and the Vice Mayor was there as well as Councilmember Johnstone. Everybody did a great job, and super appreciative of that. Chief Lagrone was there as well. So thank you guys all. Mr. Mayor, can we, real quick, I would like a Bedrock Park update, and I know I applaud you guys' efforts in shutting it down so quickly, and I'm not trying to put any pressure on you. I know you got a lot going on, and I know the scope of work is vast.
Sure.
And very deep. And so I know that some people are starting to say, well, what now? The park got closed, and we're glad the riffraff is not doing what it was doing there. However, now the question is, where do we go from here? So could you?
Okay, sure. So
Thank
here's the cliff notes on that. So we put the temporary fence around. I was out there a few days ago. DWR, which I was going to share in my admin report here in a few minutes, will be doing the floating classroom. They were out there practicing yesterday. Since then, we've had one portable bathroom destroyed. The fence has been cut multiple times, including 2 days ago, there's a giant hole in the gate that we just installed. We've also still have transients still living in the park.
Yeah.
That's that. But we are working on getting informal quotes for the water line restoral. The first one we got was a pretty large sum of money, so we're asking for a couple other contractors. We're looking at the CUPCO list to see if we can get some other local contractors to come in and do that. We're working on, I have a quote, and I'm going to give Williams Electric the the job to install the electrical pedestal over at the park so we can actually get electricity back out there, which is a key part to it. As far as the other designs, we're still trying to work through and trying to scope out what we actually need out there versus what it wants. It's going to be a pretty pricey project. We should have something hopefully by the end of October to bring back to council with some type of a plan of what we're doing. This was a very quick thing, and it's going to take a fairly large sum of money to get fixed. So give us a little bit of time. I would like to think by the end of October, we'll have some type of initial plan going forward with what Bedrock will look like.
Okay. No, thank you very much for that. And you know, realizing that the scope of work needed in there is probably vastly more than we initially thought. And by the way, with what you're talking about, the holes and whatnot, because I seen that big old, it's like they basically, I don't know what do they use up?
Probably 10 snips or even a
Something, but
sawzall.
they cut
Something
a
very
perfect
quickly,
hole in
yeah.
it. But you know, that is all the more reason too for Prop 36 to get passed, because that kind of behavior goes really, you know, well, the DA's right here and he can't prosecute for this stuff because under the current letter of the law, a bunch of things are like misdemeanors. And so there's no prosecutorial horsepower under the current letter of the law. So I'm hoping that we get that passed in November. We could see some, a change, you know. But, you know, like I always tell people, you know, Rome was built in a day. We didn't get it in this situation overnight. It's going to take a little bit of time to get out. So thank you for the update. And then last question is for you. I had a constituent ask about salmon dinner for the Salmon Festival. Is there a salmon dinner anywhere?
Yeah, Friday night.
Friday night. Okay,
Yeah.
so there is a salmon dinner.
There's a flyer right
Right over there. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and the proceeds will go to help support the Ophir School, the PTO, the young children that were out here leading us in pledge.
Cool.
So, yeah, the proceeds to that dinner will help support the PTO with the schools, so.
Councilman
And other
Goodson.
schools, Wyandotte as well, and a couple other schools.
Councilman Goodson's in the queue.
Thank you so much. Every third Monday of the month, we host an NAACP Butte County virtual meeting. And our guest speaker last night was Superintendent Spencer. And so the topic, I asked him to speak specifically on Measure E. It's important, it is important bond. They're requesting $18 million, not just for upgrades, but for career tech expansion at Ishii School, and then it's an equitable bond. There's 7 schools in the city of elementary school district, so everybody gains something. But I would like to see us invite Superintendent Spencer to speak and to give a presentation to bring more awareness and just the importance and the enhancements that will come about with this on the ballot.
Thank you. Councilman Riggs.
I support that, by the way. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. My first was a follow-up to the Bedrock issue. Before your employment here, Melton Design Group was also working on a master plan for Bedrock and the trail. And so I think that if we're talking about investing dollars, that maybe keeping that in mind, and just a reminder to quick review that as we're talking about any temporary improvements, that those aren't just for right now, but can be used into the future.
Thank you. Yeah, we've recently re-engaged with Milton on Bedrock, so thank you
you.
for the reminder on that.
And then the second part of that is, I would love a Hewitt Park update, because the only thing I want in my 7 meetings remaining is to feel very confident that this park is actually going to get done and be lovely as it's supposed to be, because the initial Hewitt Park plan was never completed, which left us where we were. And then now we have a new Hewitt Park plan and funding to do it. And I'm growing weary.
I can do this one.
Thank you.
So I did just hand this over to Tim, our new city
He's a senior engineer, project manager.
Senior, yeah, but, so the plans were just resubmitted for building, the building plans. I think I reported once before that I didn't want to have the plans go out to bid without being permit ready, so that we don't have any change orders due to something that wasn't included in the plan. The last time that it was submitted, there was an issue, and I think I may have reported this out before, that there was an ADA concern about a stairway that went up to the top of the big giant slide that that didn't allow access for, it wasn't accessible. So Melton went back and then they redesigned it, and it was really quite a task to redesign. So we took the stairway out because to reduce the cost, but the length of the ramp is a little bit long, and so it switchbacks to get down at the bottom, and then part of the one of the features around that slide is rubberized stuff that you put in playgrounds, and they have these big sort of rock-looking things that actually act as a stairway themselves. So there still is a way to sort of crawl up the side in kind of a fun way. So those were just resubmitted. The whole plans were just resubmitted, I think, Friday. And so they should be, hopefully they'll be bid ready shortly. Alyssa had asked to review the project to make sure that it just, as another set of eyes to make sure that the scope of work matches the drawings and that we're getting everything that we need to have. So I think that those should be out to bid, what's this, mid-September, possibly at the end of this month, maybe more like the beginning of next month.
Okay.
Yeah,
So are you
but they're-
telling me, I am very rarely sentimental. Are you telling me that there's a chance that I'll be able to vote to approve the bid?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That is
Yeah.
my biggest desire right now.
Yeah.
I'd like to add on to that, too. I'm talking to Alyssa on the side here. It looks like we just received back some comments and plans back from them, and they're currently under review. So hopefully, we'll get a presentation for you together very soon.
Thank you.
Okay, I just have a quick one to report, and I might be stealing some from Fred's report, but I attended the service for Bud Bolt and the Bud Bolt Museum. That was, it's a true asset for this city, and the family was very appreciative of all the efforts that were put together. And you really don't understand someone until you read about his life. I mean, my goodness, to have that museum here and to have all the family members here, and the whole event was really well done, and they appreciated everything the city did from the family point of view. A very large turnout. It filled the Veterans Hall, and then we went down for the museum, and people just hung around there just to talk about tools, and there's a story with every tool in that place. So just want to add that it was a very nice service for Bud, and just remind us all that, we really need some more docents that want to work the museums, and there's some really wonderful activities just to tell a story about all the tools in there. And there's some tools there that I'm sure Mr. Ramsey was around when they came up. Yeah. Anyway, I just want to make a comment, and I thank our new docent, what's her title? Anna.
Facilities, now you put me on the spot.
Yeah.
Curator.
Curator.
Curator, yes.
Curator. She did a
Hannah.
really good job.
She's doing a fantastic
Yeah.
job.
Councilman Goodson.
Can we please get an update on the Gateway project? If not, I want our dollar back with
Yeah.
interest.
Yeah. We don't have our city administrator. He's out of town today, so Ruth is filling in, so I'm sure she'll take that. Thank you, Ruth.
I haven't said one word yet, so I'm not sure what I'm trying to do.
Well, it's about coming. Any other council reports? I don't see anybody in the queue. If not, I'll move to department reports, administrative reports. Any?
Sure, I could start off if you like, or go ahead, Pat.
I know yours is going to be a lot longer. I just wanted to acknowledge Ron for doing a great job at Civic 101 last Thursday night. He had everyone on the edge of their seats, gave a great presentation, as he always does, and gave everyone a really good taste of how code enforcement works and
I'm glad.
some of the challenges that we have, and
Yeah.
really brought home the importance of code enforcement. So that was the second to the last Civic 101, and the last one is next month, and that's community development.
Okay.
Promises to be the best one, probably.
And we'll all be in
Anyway.
attendance for it,
Yes.
Pat, so you're on.
For all of you that haven't, what he's talking about, we have a series of classes going on, and it's called Civic 101, and you're welcome to come down and go department by department on what's happening in each department. And it generally lasts an hour to 2 hours for the public, and it's really a good way for you to sit down and do a one-on-one with whoever's in charge of whatever department it is. It's very, very informational. Who's next? Fred?
I'll take it. This is going to be a little long-winded this time, so my apologies. I was not at the last council meeting. I would like to start with a little bit of a background with the museums and where we're at with that. So first of all, we're getting new flags at the Lot, the Pioneer, and the Chinese Temple. The flags are fine, but we're going to change things up a little bit. The flags are going to have a different star pattern than what were the traditional 50 stars on each flag. It's going to represent the year that the museums actually represent. So for example, the Pioneer Museum, the flags only have 29 stars on them. The Lot House will have 31 stars, and the Chinese Temple will have 37 stars. It's going to look a little bit different, but it's going to make it look a lot more authentic with the flags from the period. We've got a couple of exciting things going on over at the Pioneer Museum. There's the Pioneer Museum Trust Fund that's backed by the Betty Boyle Davis Trust Fund, actually. We're putting new windows in through the trust fund at the Pioneer Museum that's UV protected. They're insulated. They're going to cut down on the UV and the light exposure on our displays there, because the sun is display's worst enemy, and it's the eastern aspect, so they're getting all that morning summertime sun, and it's wreaking havoc on our displays over there. So that's a pretty exciting piece. Last month we had 230 guests at our museum citywide, and we did about 250 hours of tours and cleaning and keeping the museums open through our docents. I would be amiss if I didn't mention that the Saturday, September 28th, all 5 museums will be open during the Salmon Festival, and all the fees to admission will be waived as approved by City Council, so please.
Just want to add, there'll be free bus service to each museum as well, so you can get on a bus and tour.
Please visit the Museum Mile in this city. It's amazing. If you never took the time to do it, please take the time to go out and explore our 5 museums. They're fantastic. Let me move over to the airport. We have a couple of things going on over there. We have an electrical transformer that's partially failed out there, so part of our taxi lights aren't working. We got parts on order, and that should be getting repaired in the very near future. Probably in the next 2 weeks, we'll have our taxiway lights lit up. October 12th, which is a really big day for us out at the airport, we have the movie night coming. The gates open at the south end of the airport about 5:30 in the evening, and the fun festivities start around 7 o'clock, and the movie should roll about 8 p.m. that night. Earlier in the day, though, our FBO is having her first fly-in, and we have a pancake breakfast that starts at 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. So please come out and buy some pancakes and meet some really cool people and meet some great aviation folks out there flying in their helicopters from Butte County, CAL FIRE, Enlo, CHP, and many others. So come out. It's a great opportunity to meet some folks and aviation, and the kids will get a kick out of it. That is October 12th, starting at 8 a.m. And the fly-in's from 8 a.m. to 11. And don't forget the movie night later that night at 8 o'clock. That should be a lot of fun. Moving over to the sewer department, I'm sorry, guys, this would be a little bit of a long report. I've gotten messages and other things, complaints about a lot of equipment running out off Oro Dam. Late at night, it's been the city sewer crew. We've been out there cameraing and jetting our transmission and wastewater mains. We do it at night to minimize traffic control, traffic issues, and the safety of our people, to be quite honest with you. We're getting closer on that. In that, we've found discoveries that there's some folks out there vandalizing a couple manholes where they're actually pulling manholes. They're using it as a dumpster. We're finding shoes, clothing, gravel, and the new trick is they're throwing cobblestones into our sewer main, which is we've been able to retrieve. We've had to do a couple confined space entries twice in the last week and a half to retrieve these stones, which is a very dangerous thing. These rocks are a little bit smaller than our sewer main. One of those obviously gets stuck in our sewer main. We're going to have a substantial SSO, and we're not going to be able to fix it without digging it up. So we're working on it. We believe we have a solution to this one particular manhole. We were out there today making some appropriate changes, and we're going to go from there. On the wastewater department side, I'm very happy to announce that we have a new wastewater operator. Mr. Brad Wilson, he worked over at Sportsman's Warehouse over in the boat section. He got laid off, and he's jumped over into a new career, and he's super excited to be here. Great energy, a really nice young gentleman, and he's been a great asset. We also hired a new electrician, Mike Morrell. They both started yesterday, and they're great assets to our team. We're very excited. Moving back over to Bedrock Park, like I mentioned earlier, DWR begins their floating classroom starting October 1st, and then it runs through November. They have offered that they could provide maybe 2 rafts, which would be up to about 16 people for city staff. If city council has a desire to go out on the floating classroom and take a look at the salmon firsthand, please send me your name and I can get that arranged for us, and DWR would be more than happy to accommodate that. So, okay. I'll take it as everybody on council would like to go, so I'll make sure we get that arranged very quickly. Okay, it'd be probably towards the end of October when we get to go, and any other city managers. Okay. Item last, and I promise I'll not to bore everybody too much. Well, I lied, I got 2 other items. Street Department, we've been out there, we've been working at night. We're going back into a nighttime rotation to do more mastic application. We put 145 tons of asphalt down over this last few weeks, primarily out on Meadowview and Fog Avenue. And we painted all the yellow school legends around the schools. The legends are school exiting and the crosswalks, so they're painted yellow again. I did hear some reports about some of the crooked striping over there in orange. We're at the mercy of the asphalt when it comes to that. The asphalt's not in the greatest shape there, so when we're striping, all the paint picks up all the defects. So our crew's doing the best we can on that, so just keep that in mind when you see some crooked lines in that section of roadway. Last thing I'd like to touch on with the street department is we did, and thank you very much, council. I want to thank you guys again for the support, for giving us the money in the new budget year to buy our radar trailers. They have been delivered. We actually did training with IT and the vendor yesterday and engineering, and we're going to get those out deployed probably early next week is my timeline on that. These radar trailers are really nice, and the street sign radars that we're looking at too, same company, they all run off the cloud and they can all communicate with each other, and we're going to be ordering for those radar signs too. So in case you guys were wondering if that was the next question, we do have those on my radar, so to speak, and those are being ordered. 2 things left. I also want to remind City Council that our engineering department is whole. For the first time since I've been here and since recent memory, we have 2 full-time engineers and is an amazing piece. And Alyssa's been doing a fantastic job, and so has Tim. They've really taken like ducks to water and just going after it. And very little downtime. They're seeing things that we need to do, and they're going after it. So it's taking a lot of weight off the Public Works team's shoulder, and community development too, I would imagine, with all the other projects coming in. Item last, and I promise I'll be quiet. I wanted to wish my colleague, Mr. Pat, sitting right next to me, a very happy birthday today. So,
Happy birthday.
All right.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday,
dear Patrick.
Happy birthday to you.
Presidente.
Lord bless you.
All right. Thank you, Fred. Councilman Weber's in the queue, real quick.
Mr. Mayo, thank you so much for the dedication to the roads. Out of curiosity, how much more mastic did you guys order?
Don't hold it to me, but I believe we got another, I want to say 24, 34 pallets. It's a fair amount of,
And the
it's a fair
first one
amount.
was 40? or-
No, the first one was 94, I believe. It was
Okay.
like 7 truckloads. So
Yeah.
we got a substantial amount.
No, and I've been observing it. I watched it all summer long. It seems like it held up incredibly well.
It's doing well in the heat. The proof in the pudding will be in the cold weather. So I have
let's
a
watch
real
what it
good
does.
feeling
Yeah,
for
but
it.
I mean, it is just incredible. And then there was another point I was going to make and I forgot, so we're just going to move on then, okay?
All right. Thank you. Councilman Johnston's in the queue.
If I could microphone on the airport drive-in.
Yes.
The drive-in movie night. It is going to be Herbie Fully Loaded that's going to be showing, and it's $20. You can drive in and watch it in your vehicle on the tarmac, or you can park on the side of the road and walk in and use lawn chairs. They are going to have food, delicious food, cars, planes. They're going to have the, obviously their Oro-Dam cars are going to be out there, but they're going to have planes out there, and it's just something to rediscover in Orville, right? Nice family community event, so hopefully everybody will show up. I'm excited. I can't wait. Yes. $20 per car or? Per vehicle.
Yeah.
It's free. It's free if you walk in with your lawn chairs. If you're bringing a vehicle in, then it's $20 a vehicle. Yes.
Just do it old school, put them in the truck.
Yeah, just pile them in.
Okay.
Does that include buses?
Department heads, anybody else?
I have one other piece I forgot
I don't
to
know,
mention.
Fred. Oh, man. come on.
I'm sorry. It's the Fred Show, and this is an important one, too. This is in regards to the Pioneer Museum. We did find termites and wood-boring beetles in the structure, so if you see a fumigation tent going up in the next week or two, that's what's going on out there.
right.
So we're in the schedule for,
All right.
for that. I'll promise I'll be quiet now.
All right, Mr. Belser.
I just want to say thank you for your dedication, Pat, because if it was my birthday, I wouldn't be here. And code enforcement stood around and watched Public Works.
Yeah. No, I'll do as.
Well done, sir. And thank you, Bond, for everything.
Oh, wow.
I don't have anything to
Okay, I will add, you guys have been very busy with a lot of weekend activities. We've had some problems, and code enforcement's done a great job for a
Yes,
lot
they have.
of issues that we have around town. Police Chief, Mr. LeGrone, any comments? We have an item on the agenda coming up, though, too.
Yes, sir, we have a couple. Just to let the council know, we have been out there aggressively going after traffic on Montgomery. We've assigned overtime. We've had people coming in, multiple citations have been issued, but we're not only going after Montgomery, but other areas of the city. So we have heard what the citizens are saying, and we're addressing that issue.
So, folks, you just heard that. There's overtime officers working the streets, so make sure you're following the speed limits. Over here, Amy.
I don't have an exciting update, but I just wanted to announce that I'm holding a public meeting on the 24th, Tuesday, to close out 2 CDBG grants. One is this grant on the performances and the beneficiaries, and also owner-occupied rehab. So that is at 5:30 on the 24th, if anybody wants to come.
All right, thank you. Ruth?
I'm excited to share some future agenda items on behalf of the Finance Department. We're going to have a actuarial update on our pension on the second meeting of October. So every year the CalPERS puts out new actuarial reports, and so we're going to get a good update at the second meeting in October. And then I've been working on the forecasts. I'm hoping to roll that out to you and have a discussion in November. And then I feel like it's a really good timing to follow that up with a sustainability discussion after that. So I'm not sure. I'll work with Brian. I'm not sure if that's going to be a special council workshop or during a
Okay.
meeting, but
All right.
some exciting
Excellent.
stuff for me.
Any other departments? Looking around the room? All right, we're good to go. And I will mention again that we are planning a special meeting on the fireworks issue. We didn't announce it because we didn't have the date yet. So when we get the date yet, we can all be together. It'll be, and we have an expectation of a lot of folks, more than filled this room up. So instead of having it and having them come and then canceling it and moving it, we're just going to do the whole thing at the State Theater and have enough room for everybody. Yes?
And will it be publicized through the newspaper?
Oh, yes, yeah, it certainly will be. We just don't have the date, that's why we didn't talk about it yet, so I appreciate that. Next item is consent calendar. And we have, you need to pull, or take a,
So
recuse yourself, thank you, for one item. And I'm gonna pull item 10 real quick. Other than that, any other items on there to discuss? I'll entertain a motion to move consent.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Motion passes unanimously with the exception of Councilmember Goodson, who is recused from item number 8.
All right. We'll have her come back in. Someone could bring her. I pulled number 10. The item is a letter of support for the Northwest Lineman College to the California Department of Motor Vehicles. The letter speaks to the issue pretty detailed. I just want to introduce the two gentlemen, or the two persons from the Lineman College. The president, Pony Kruger, if you'd stand up, and then Director of Operations, Cami. I appreciate their interest and trying to help them out with this issue. It's a big deal. They need to offer CDL licenses to their students, and the local DMV office just can't meet the demand. So we hope that this letter is going to be fruitful, and the council will consider it. Go ahead and make a motion.
I would like to make a motion.
Item 10, I hear a second.
I second it.
All right, call the roll.
Motion passes Oh,
Oh, wait,
I'll go ahead.
there we go.
passes unanimously.
Thanks, guys, for coming. Appreciate it. Well, hopefully we'll be successful with the director. Well, hopefully. All right, next item. Regular business. Item number 11. Orville Police Department Community Navigator position.
Thank you.
You bet.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Appreciate it. Mr. LeGros.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. What you have before you tonight is the consideration of reallocation of funding from converting 2 MLE positions to 2 community navigator positions. It'll be no additional cost to the department or the city. It is contained within our budget currently. What the difference is that we have heard the council's desire to get more people out there quicker and sooner to start dealing with those issues in the community that are affect the quality of life for everyone. What this would do would be to get 2 community navigators that are familiar with the problems out into the parks on a daily basis, to the underpasses on a daily basis, to highly frequented and saturated areas on a daily basis or multiple times per day, to deal with those issues that are out there that are affecting our community. The idea is to have a very low-level interaction with individuals and to provide them services, directions, and offer them pathways to programs so that they can address the issues that may be impacting their choices and get them off the street. The added benefit of this, it would also be to have 2 individuals so we can start coordinating a volunteer effort on this to get more people out there more rapidly and sooner to start visiting these places. The biggest impact I think you're going to see is you will see people in the parks multiple times per day traveling the trail, addressing those issues that currently exist within our community. So what we're asking for today is simply to have the job description approved that is attached and to have the deletion of 2 MLE positions and have those converted into community navigator positions.
Councilman Weber has a question?
More of a comment, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I just couldn't be more pleased with how this has rolled out over the last year, knowing when this was first vision cast essentially as that compassionate piece that you were just talking about, Chief, what it looks like to, because, most of what you do in police work and code enforcement as well is very reactionary to issues. And then this is addressing that being proactive. And I love the fact that not only has the police department embraced this, but code enforcement is, you're working with them as well. And then also with behavioral health and all the other entities and building all these relationships that are interlocking, if you will, right? And so the benefit of this is it greatly enhances our ability to provide care because as you know, the service resistant are very difficult to deal with, but there are people out there that have low threshold barrier type stuff that's keeping them from getting some sort of help. Like, for us, it may not be difficult to get a driver's license or ID, but for somebody else, it could be incredible. You may as well ask them to walk across the river rather than swim to get an ID, because it's that far away from what they can do. So I love the concept of this. I love how it's rolled out, and I'm in complete support of this. And I love the fact that all that connectivity is developed and all those relationships have been built as a result of it. So I'm looking forward to seeing this in action. Now, did I just miss it, but did you say they were going to be patrolling up and down is that what I heard?
No, they'd be patrolling up and down the park in the Riverfront Parkway. I'm envisioning all the way up to the tunnel, all the way down to the south of Riverbend Park.
Out by Matthews Ready Mix, out that way?
As far as we can go out there, we
Yeah.
have the Polaris. You'll see that out regularly with this 2-man crew if the council authorizes this.
Absolutely, yeah.
2-person crew doesn't.
Yeah, practicing presence changes atmosphere, right? And I know there's quite a, I know Ron probably has more of an idea of what's down by Matthews Ready Mix, but there's a lot going on down there as well. So I get photos all the time from constituents that walk down there and they're like, can we get this cleaned up? And I'm like, we're working on it. So this is an awesome thing. I totally support it. Thank you.
I have a quick question in the queue. We talked about this at the executive committee, which was post the report from the issues that came from the Supreme Court hearing. And one of the things we talked about was, making this position a full-time, and then I see we're asking for 2. I'm hoping the idea of having 2 is that we can have some overlap to have the weekends covered.
The idea, Mr. Mayor, would be the reason for 2 is to put them together so they can work as a team.
Okay.
I mean, that way it doesn't impact our law enforcement, I'm going to say, this is a non-traditional law enforcement tactic that we would be using to address these types of issues as opposed to the normal tactics that you would see. So to put them together in 2 keeps us from having to impact this part of our operation for that. But yes, the idea is going to be to work them a Monday through Thursday for 2 weeks, and then when the schedule when the pay period changes, go to a Thursday through Monday. I mean, and keep flipping that back and forth. That way we're hitting all days of the week and we have somebody out there consistently.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we're noticing here lately with the current population that's caused us problems. They seem to be more active on the weekends when we don't have all our staffing going on. So Mr. Belser's shaking his head, and I've gotten many calls, and that's definitely an observation I think we're all going to make. And so any and more we can put on the weekends is going to be helpful to all of us, especially the deterrence. If they see us there deterred, they won't even stop to make the mess and destroy the property and go through the whole process. And all our business community, as Mr. Wong mentioned, is struggling. And the worst thing to struggle with is then to come in and see the windows broken out of your business.
Yes.
Which is just right off the profit margin. So anything and everything we can put people on the streets is a great idea.
Well, if this is successful, Mr. Mayor, and it appears to be working, then we may be back asking to convert 2 more to this so we can more effectively get people out there quicker.
Appreciate that. Any other council questions?
No.
Entertain a motion, or do we have any cards on this?
No, we do not, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
I move that we approve the position of the community navigator.
Second.
And
Call a roll, please.
And all of the agenda-sized items.
that's what I was
Yeah.
going to say, but.
As
Thank you.
agenda-sized.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item number 12, pay scale for the municipal law enforcement officers, OPOA non-sworn unit. Mr. LeGros.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Again, what you have in front of you tonight for your consideration is the elimination of Step A from the pay scale for the MLEs and the addition of a Step G. What this does is this provides a 5% difference between our, I'm going to say, indoor staff as opposed to our outdoors personnel who are dealing directly with individuals that are requiring police attention. So it's a little bit more of a hazardous job to work in the field than it is to work inside of the police department. So this provides that. This was a situation that was brought to our attention by the POA. It was causing them some issues, and they asked for us to help do that. So what we've done is come up with this to give that 5% is just by the elimination of Step A, which was $19.96 per hour. And as everyone should be aware, that makes us not even competitive with fast food. Fast food currently pays more than that. So in order to remain competitive, we had to do something with our pay scale. One of those things that we had to do in order to attract more applications and more experienced applications than what we're getting is to adjust our pay within the scale as it exists. Offering people jobs at $19.96 or $20.96 and telling them, hey, you're going to be out in the community and you're going to be dealing with people that don't necessarily want to be dealt with, and we're going to pay you $20.96. It's difficult sometimes to get people to accept that position. So in order to make us competitive in the market, what we are suggesting is that when we bring people into the police department, we bring them in at $25.47 an hour to start. And then we work them through the scale through there, depending on how long they've been at the police department, in the MLE. division of our department is where we'll bring them into the pay scale. Most everyone will be at the 2547 because they're all fairly new. The MLE program was originally designed to deal with the lower level issues, but it was also designed to be a feeder program to our police officer staffing issues that we have. And I'm happy to report to you that's been successful. It's just unfortunate that we keep depleting the MLEs every time Academy comes around, but one day we're going to be caught up and that's going to stop. So that is what we're trying to do with that. So with that, simply what we're asking to do is the elimination of Step A and the addition of Step G, and adjusting our officers' pay, our municipal law enforcement officers, to the initial placement pay scale that was included as attachment A on this item. This was taken to the executive committee. We had a robust discussion about it, and this was seemed to be the most reasonable solution that we had, that we could come up with to try to solve our issues.
Mr. Mayor, could I make a comment?
Please.
It looks like the fiscal impact didn't get updated on the agenda, so may I read it into the record? So the fiscal impact says approximately $185,000 a year cost, and if all 17 positions were filled, costs will be offset with opioid funding for one full-time MLE position, saving approximately $80,000. So the additional increase will be paid for with existing salary savings in the department.
Thank you for that update.
I forgot about
We forgot about that.
Thank
It was
you.
announced at the executive committee meeting, so I'm glad you told that to the entire council. That's positive. The only question I had is, we talked also about having some of the MLE officers on at nighttime. Is my understanding that when they are working a night shift, that it'll be doubled up and not out there singly?
Yes,
Is
sir.
that
They would
correct?
be doubled up. I mean, we would work them, typically it'll be until shortly after dark, and then we'll double them up so that they are together to do transports and things like that and move through the community. And as we put more staffing on, we'll get them out there, and eventually we would honestly like to go around the clock with them if we can.
Yeah, I only bring that up because I've had a number of people contact me that on their cameras, they see that's when the problems seem to occur.
Yes, sir.
Late after, and it'd be a good time for us to have a presence there. Thank you. Councilman Riggs?
Thank you. My memory says that we had also discussed having a, like MLE2, so there was an upgrade position. Is that something, that I know that that's not in the agenda item, is that not being moved forward with, or just delayed in future conversation?
That's going to be delayed for a future conversation when they get back to the bargaining table.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we have any cards on this item? Oh, Councilman Goodson's on the queue.
Yes, Chief just mentioned transport, MLA transport. Can you just give a snapshot, because that's directly related to the clinic, the clinic in Chico?
There'll be, there's a couple different kind of transports that would be going on. One would be the one we do all the time is when we facilitate someone's journey to the Butte County Jail. I mean, so typically we'll have them, the officer will make the arrest. They'll call for what we call 70 units because their call signs are all 70s. So a 70 unit will arrive and the person will be placed into the car and then they'll be transported to the Butte County Jail. The other new thing that's come about is the Sobering Center in Chico. So when we come across an individual who has a desire to go to the Sobering Center as opposed to being taken into custody, we will, if the person meets the minimum criterion for that, we will be facilitating that ride to the Sobering Center in Chico, and the MLEs will be doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Entertain a motion.
Adopt new pay scale would be my motion.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Next item is public hearings, and we have none on our schedule for tonight. Just for everyone, we have another public communication hearing of non-agenda items. Do we have any cards for this one?
I have none submitted, sir.
We do that in case someone came late to the meeting and still get their opportunity to speak. None, son. Any future agenda items from council? Oh, Council, Vice Mayor Smith, sorry.
Just an order. consent agenda items?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so on number 8, when Councilwoman Goodson recused herself, I don't remember taking a vote on that.
Well, Councilmember Goodson recused and was not present for the vote on the consent agenda, other than item 10, which I
Yeah.
believe the mayor moved. So she is she is recused from the consent agenda because she had conflict with number 8.
Yeah, I understand that, but did we actually vote on the balance of the consent agenda?
Yes,
Did we actually take a
yes,
vote? We
you
did
did.
do that?
Yes, you did.
Okay, all right, I'm just.
We can confirm that with the clerk, but my recollection is that, yes, you did do
Yes,
that.
sir, we did.
Yeah, I just thought we voted on 10, item 10, but it was encompassing the whole thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, very good. I just want to make sure we didn't miss anything.
Nope, thank you
No,
for the
back up.
inquiry, sir. We want to make
Yeah.
sure we do it correctly every
Yes,
time, not just sometimes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Under future agenda items, I know we have one issue about bringing something back on the Measure U support letter, which we'll do. We'll put on the agenda. Any other council?
Measure E,
Oh, Measure E, excuse me.
presentation from superintendent.
Gotcha.
And, hey, the Gateway.
All right. Okay, any other correspondence? Councilman Weber.
Yeah, I don't know if it's future agenda items, but I just had a thought, and if now is the inappropriate time to say this, please just correct me. But I had a thought, and I was thinking, Chrissy's leaving, and once Hewitt Park gets done, I would love to invite her back because she championed this so heavily. I would love to invite her back if we have like a ribbon cutting ceremony, and if it was the council's desire, I would love to, see her be there and honor that because she did champion Hewitt Park so heavily. So
I would see that she holds the scissors. How's that?
Thank you,
All right.
guys.
Yeah.
For
I
a
was
little bit
thinking
more
the same thing.
backstory, I actually started this project even before council.
Yeah.
Back
true,
serving as
true.
the chair for the Parks Commission.
Yep.
So I'm
been a
literally
long time
crying. It's been
coming.
a long time, and I'm really excited to see that for our community. So thank you.
No, well done. All right, correspondence, we have one letter from the Butte County Affordable Housing Development Corporation. Any other correspondence that we've received late?
And receive.